Nowadays, there's a lot of debate about what the best way to train is, what's optimal.
Science-based lifting is when you base your workouts around what the science says is best for muscle growth.
Interesting hypothesis about how to construct leg training to get your best possible gains.
Based on the research I conducted, I have been a huge advocate for lengthened training.
Compared to partial reps, full ROM is superior across the board.
I think that all of it misses a key crucial component in that Mr. Arnie Schwarzenegger himself summarizes very accurately.
You got to shock the muscle, and shock the muscle with different kind of training principles.
Shocking the muscle by continuously changing the training program that you're doing, not fixating on one best optimal way to go about building muscle.
One of the main things, of course, in order to create size and to create muscle growth, which will sometimes the body will hit a wall. And what that basically means is that the body is saying, look, I know all your tricks. I know you're going to start first with bench press. And then I know you're going to walk over to the chin-up bar and do chin-ups. And then I know you're coming back to the bench press, and then you go to the chin-up bar and come back to bench press. I know that routine. I know exactly everything you do, and I am prepared for that. So you have to go and use the shocking principle. If the body and if this chest knows that I'm going to start with 135 and then I go to 225 and do 275, I'm going to go and start now with 315. And I'm going to do 20 reps with 315. And then I'm going to go and have the guys pull off plates. And then I have 225 left. And then I'm going to do another 10 reps. And then I'm going to have them take off another 45-pound plate, and then I have 135 left. And then I'm going to go to do another 10 reps. Or maybe if I can, do 15 or 20 reps. And let's see if the pectoral muscle is used to that. And then all of a sudden you will find that your pectoral muscle is shaking after that, and you don't know what to do because it's cramping and it is being tortured, and it is in pain because you have now shocked the muscle.
I've seen, as a regular dude, chasing gains in the gym to be the most effective way, and that getting stuck with one best approach is going to limit your results because the body will adapt to any training program or structure of working out, weights, sets, reps, rest time, tempo, however you choose to go in there and move the weights to best stimulate muscle growth. Even if in theory it is the best way to do it, eventually your body does adapt to it because it's a dynamic evolving process and something that works best for you 6 months in is not going to continue to be the best program to stimulate muscle growth 6 years in. Your body adapts to the stimulus, and therefore you need to continually evolve it. So the arguing of this is the best amount of sets, or this is the best amount of reps, or this is the best rest time, it's singular, and there's one best way to do it, although can be useful to debate different approaches, different ways of training, different ways of structuring your program. Some may be slightly better than others, but the issue, I believe, that Arnold has the wisdom of is that given that you're consistent, given that you train really hard, the next goal becomes evolving and changing your program structure as you go and not falling into the natural human tendency of fixating on one way to train that you identify with that feels comfortable to you. I'm going to give you some concrete examples from my own arm training to contextualize this. The first workout here, which was 3 days ago, I'm doing sets with a slow, controlled tempo in the 8 to 12 rep range, pushing to failure, and resting probably 3 to 4 minutes in between each set. So I hit the set of triceps, get 12 reps, I rest 3 to 4 minutes. I hit the set of biceps curls, rest 3 to 4 minutes, and then I repeat that whole round a total of 5 times. Okay, that's workout 1. And then the next workout, I'm going to add a drop set. So when I do the first set of tricep extensions, I'm going to use the same weight, but I'm going to increase the tempo slightly. So instead of going slow, I would say this is like a normal tempo. So the rep range increases. Instead of 8 to 12, we're in the 10 to 15 rep range throughout the workout. I'm going to take that set to failure, and then I'm going to immediately drop the weight from the 107 pounds down to 60 pounds. And now I'm going to do fast, explosive tempo, going down to partials at the end. And then I'm going to rest 5 minutes to let the muscle fully recover or come close to full recovery. I'm going to go do the same thing with biceps. Weight and tempo combination where I get 10 to 15 reps going to failure, and then I'm going to immediately drop the weight a bunch, like half, and do another set with fast explosive tempo with partials at the end. And I'm going to repeat that for 5 rounds. So you can see there's just a slight different stimulus, with the idea being that I want to shock the muscle. I don't want to do the same thing over and over again. And the example that Arnold uses, I think the key identifier is that he uses the same exercise of bench press. But he says, this is what my routine has been that has led to growth when I've got giant pecs. But for me to continue to grow them, I need to change the program up. I need to come in there with a different weight. And I need to add some drop sets in. So my body doesn't know what to expect is kind of the story he's telling, the way he's describing it to you. I think most practically, for you to gain the most muscle that you can, the foundation of always going to your workouts and pushing yourself really hard, at least close to failure, need to be there regardless. And you will see results regardless of what program you follow, whether it's optimal or not. There's space to try to educate yourself or try to hire a coach or buy somebody's program. Sign up for the ARM program below if you want gigantic freaking pipe daddies. But that one program, if it continues to ask you to just do the same thing over and over again, inevitably will lead you to a plateau. And that's where this principle, where you want to continue to grow, you want to continue to evolve, assuming that the process of building muscle is dynamic, therefore your training structure needs to evolve and adapt over time. And in my ARM course, that's something that I bake into all of the programs, because it's what I've seen with my own personal experimentation is even when I think I have the best way to train, I'm like, I've got it. Can't count the number of times that that's happened. You convince yourself because you inevitably want to, it feels more comfortable to know the way to do it. And you're always seeking for that, or I have been. And then it's easy to attach yourself to it. And God, I don't have to think about it anymore. I don't have to worry. I don't have to stress that I'm wasting my time or training ineffectively. I've got it. And even if it is optimal at that time, it will lead to progress. But then if you stay in that same exact routine and you just show up and repeat over and over again, you'll milk all the gains or the progress out of it. And then 3 months down the line, you're stagnated again. So it's this constant challenge to stay consistent, train really hard, and continuously adapt your training in some way, shape, or form. And doing that through, the examples I'm giving here, where I'm changing the tempo slightly, I'm changing the rest time slightly, I'm adding in an intensity technique like a drop set with partials, and doing that, progressively over time, I think is critical. I think Arnold hits the nail on the head. And of course, I'm just a guy. I don't look anything like Arnold freaking Schwarzenegger. I'm not claiming to be the expert that knows everything about growing muscles, but I just think that simple wisdom that he's providing really does shed light on what the whole conversation of what's the best way to do it and people arguing this best way against that best way. I think you're really missing that. You need to be open to any of these best ways, but stop looking for one singular best way and then arguing with other people that this is the best way and that's the wrong way because it's scientifically verified or because this person did it, whatever. Challenge yourself to continuously adapt and try new things, and you will see more growth that way, given that you always go to the workouts and you train consistently. But it's not an easy thing to do because you need to leave yourself open to feeling uncomfortable in that you don't know the best way to do something. And even Arnold, who's a championship level bodybuilder, he's willing to subject himself to that and go, I need to continue to shock my body and try different stuff because I know I'm not going to grow if I just keep doing the same thing over and over again. For a while I will, but then I'll hit a plateau. So I hope that helps you to look at, the information that you're absorbing where, somebody's proclaiming this is the optimal or best way to do something and somebody else is saying, no, it's not. I think the takeaway you should have is that it's the wrong perspective to argue that there's a singular one best way and that each individual way of training that anybody's purporting or putting out there could be effective, and that you should try it if it sounds somewhat reasonable. And you should look at your progress as a continually evolving training structure where you change these different variables. And I'm rambling in circles, but a lot of people get caught up in exercise selection and that you need to do all these different exercises. And I like that he says, it's bench press, and then it's still bench press, but I'm going to add intensity technique. I'm going to change the weight. I'm going to change the rep range. I think those are the parameters that you should look at tweaking. Of course, you can use different exercises, but I don't think that the exercises themselves change the stimulus on the muscle in terms of producing more growth as much as changing the volume could, or changing the intensity, or changing the rest time, or changing the rep range you're in, or changing the tempo you use. I think those things are all tools at your disposal that will be very effective in changing the structure of your program to continue to stimulate more growth. And in my case, with my limitations, only doing the overhead triceps extension, it's a very unique experiment, I guess, if you will, involuntary experiment or involuntary, that shows the value of that, in that, adjusting some of these parameters to find a way to keep making your training more difficult, to continue to shock the body, can be very valuable and can produce a significant amount of growth, in my opinion, with the arm training. So if you're looking for a gigantic set of girth monsters, absolute sleeve busting swamp monster python, some upper decker meat hoggeronis, then sign up for the arm program today and supersize your pipes. Thanks for watching. If you like these discussions and you want more, hit subscribe, leave a freaking comment, tell me what you think. Am I an idiot? Do I know what I'm saying? Am I clueless? Am I halfway there? Who knows? Let me know what you think. Have a great freaking day. Peace.